Hello and good morning to you, my fellow residents of the Fairways of Ridgeview Subdivision. I would like to take this opportunity to wish each and every one of you a happy new year and a new year. I wanted to wish you all a happy new year. Bless you with well and remarkable health and with more wealth in 2021. Okay? So what I'm saying is that hello, it's me. It's Peter, your favorite person. I wanted to summarize with you all real quick, okay? Like last year, we had this board election, and I witnessed the real anger and the real racism that is in our neighborhood. Okay, this is not about the unspoken issues, this is about inherent, embedded racism. One of the candidates said he was invited to run for the board. Now, as we told you before, we've been there for 23 years. We have never seen a Chinese person or an Indian person serve on the board. And we, okay, I had to pause for a minute to get an address for you. You see, when I walked into that board meeting, right, had I had my camera going at that time, I would have documented a very, very great event. But I didn't. But I did get the documentation of the rest of the meeting. And I could tell you when I walked in, it was so tense. You could feel the anger and the hatred. And you could hear a pin drop. And then I realized I was in the mouth or in the middle of a Ku Klux Klan meeting. And that it's been like this for years. And who was I to come and interfere with the people's business? Who was I? Not even the president of the board or the members of the board had the cordiality or the sophistication to give me eye contact. Not one person in that meeting gave me eye contact. And these are Christian people. People who believe in Christ and in Jesus. And who just celebrated Christmas and Thanksgiving. And we live in the community with one another. And that's how you see us, as less than worthy. There was a big fat guy sitting next to me. I have him on the video. Looked like he'd have collapsed from a heart attack at any time. And even he too was angry and mad. So I had to conclude I was sitting in a room full of Trump supporters because Trump is the only one who does not have the sophistication or the dignity, if he disagrees with someone, to be cordial towards them. So I saw no cordiality, no Christian compassion, no Jewish compassion. And that's the neighborhood we live in. So I come today to tell you that we wish you the best in 2021. And I come to tell you that we are going to continue the struggle, a luta continua, in 2021. And given what we have witnessed in Washington, the degree to which racism is so embedded in our community and in our society, that a gang of insurrectionists, a gang of coup plotters, could have overtaken the Capitol building and called for the hanging of the Speaker of the House and even of the Vice President. And we know all the people in the neighborhood who went to that rally. But you should not be ashamed because Ken Paxton was there. A lot of police officers was there. A lot of members of the legislatures of various states were there. And they openly advocated insurrection and the overthrow of the government of the United States of America. Now we know if Negroes did that, how they would end. We know if Indians did that, how they would end. And you come telling me that somehow Peter Emmanuel is doing something wrong. You know, that beautiful garden. I know you're all mad at it, but it's going to be there. And that beautiful house. We are staying here. This is not 1926. This is not 1945. I want to send a message out to all those people who sent me hate mails, All those people who sent me death threats, I want you to know there is no anonymity in emails. You're not anonymous, okay? We are data scientists, computer scientists. I know you all look down upon us, not just Europeans. Everybody looks down upon us. I mean, maybe we didn't get the vote we thought we did. You see what happens when you cheat on the vote, right? When you cheat on the vote, you have what happened in Washington on the 6th. So when you cheat on the vote for the board, I mean, it's possible we could have a coup d'etat. And for a whole generation now, the same group, you say, oh, nobody wants to participate. But when someone comes to participate, you do everything to discourage them and to show them that they're not welcomed. I want to give you all a little story. There's a man called Mike, and Mike lives where Trail Westland literally ends on Daystar. He has a ranch house and he's been there for a very long time. And when my wife died the first time, his wife saved my wife. So I always held them special. But last year or even the year before, whatever, I saw Mike at Kroger and he wouldn't give me eye contact. Very often I drive past the house, so I make it a point to greet him. And I was coming home and I was driving behind Mike, and Mike made sure he didn't pull up in front of his house as he normally does. He went down that street, make sure I got away, and then he turned around and came back. Now, Mike is a man who told me in 2012, and this is an honest truth. This is an affidavit that I'm giving you. Mike looked at me and he said he's worried about the neighborhood. He said he was afraid that the neighborhood would come like Richardson because he was expressing concern about all the East Indian immigrant settlers and homeowners that were moving into our neighborhood. Now, Mike works for American Airlines as a baggage handler. Mike been doing that most of his life, and every year and every other year, Mike is worried about losing his job. So I realized that even this morning that Mike may have drunk the Trump pill. We didn't do anything to Mike. I did not do anything to Mike. Why all of a sudden Mike hates me? And look at me, a beautiful man, a wonderful person. What is there of me not to like, not to be passionate about? CMA, the board of directors, constitute a cabal. Okay? So Mike, with his racist remark towards our Indian neighbors, says to me he's afraid that the community will come like Richardson. Mike was in a storm in 2012. His roof was totaled. Mike pocketed the insurance money, and to this day he has not changed his roof. My fellow residents, most of our sisters and brothers from India and China and India and Pakistan who live among us and in our community, many of these people are much more highly educated and skilled than you and I. One of the reasons why many of them are here today is because, as one of the appointees mentioned, and I've always told people, is because of the Civil Rights Act of 1965, which changed the U.S. law which had favored European immigration to making it more liberal. And the fact is that capitalism needs labor. Capitalism cannot survive without cheap labor. So our fellow citizens from India, from Pakistan, from China are here again because of the insatiable appetite for capitalist labor, capitalist need for labor, except the labor today is needed in skilled areas having to do with technology and particularly with the management of data and with computer science. Unfortunately, the people here in the United States, including the European majority, which will not longer be the majority, have failed to invest in our people because of racism and self-hate. If you go to the Frisco schools that are exemplary, they're only exemplary because of the Indian children. They're only exemplary because of the Chinese children. They're not exemplary because of white children or European children. So you should address the problem where it should be addressed. Don't turn to hatred and racism and scapegoating other people for your shortcomings. You stop reading. You stop writing. You stop being innovative. And today, you cannot get a proper or well-paying job because you don't have the skills. The Indians didn't do that to you. The Chinese didn't do that to you. And damn sure the Negroes ain't doing that to you. So all of you who went to take part in the coup, they have you on camera. All of you who send me death threats and hate mails, I know who you are. I know where you live. And you will soon be visited with paper. You see, here in my household, here in our movement, we believe the pen is mightier than the sword. See, you all are very simplistic people, primitive people who have hatred and want to keep people out. But I want to give you one last thing before I leave. Because you see, if you live long enough, if you get old enough, and you become demented, or even if you come down with COVID and you go to the hospital, it's going to be a Filipino, it's going to be a Caribbean person, it's going to be an African person. And even if you go to the doctor now, it's going to be an Indian doctor. And that must really, really upset you that you're going to see. My friends, we are part and parcel of the body of humanity and the body of Christ Jesus. It's time for us to put aside this hatred which consumes us and makes us ill, and find in our hearts to appreciate and to enjoy. You know, I tell you, if I had to wake up and see the same ugly people every day, I would be mad. I tell you, it's so beautiful when I tell you, nowhere else in the United States you see such a diversity of people, a mosaic, which makes it so beautiful. It's like food. I remember my friend from Pakistan, he used to tell me at work, he said, Peter, you know, every day I go home, it's chicken curry, chicken curry, this, that. No difference. He wanted to try something new. And in his culture, his wife only made the same traditional foods. So as you see, to even the people who have come here who have strong cultures, the next generation of their children, they're eating pizza. They're eating steak, even though they're Hindus. You understand? That's the power and the influence of the United States of America. And some speak nostalgically of where they came from. Only when they go to visit, they cannot wait to come back because they have grown used to our standard of living, our ideas of customer satisfaction. That's the big one, customer satisfaction. Any immigrant who comes here, when they go back to where they're from or they go to another developing country, always compare the customer service to what we have in the United States. So racist Mike, all right, who lives there and he has his car parked in front there. I'm looking at it right now. You know, I just experienced an interesting phenomena. So I was looking at Mike on Google Maps, and there was that big white, I think it's a Lincoln. He has a Range Rover too, parked in front of the Google Maps picture, and all of a sudden it's gone. It's gone. It's no longer there. Similarly, I had one. They had, well, you know, I know Google updates the pictures, but they couldn't have updated right here while I'm speaking. But anyway, it's gone. But Mike hate Indian people, and he confided in me that he thought the Indians were going to bring down the standards of the community. And the East Indians, I mean, these people are highly educated, highly skilled. The majority of them living in our neighborhood are earning six figures and more. And so I just want to tell you all that, you know, Indians got their issues towards black people. Most people who don't like black people are uneducated and uninformed and have an irrational fear. It's not black people Europeans and you settlers here at the Fairways of Ridgeview should be fearing. As a matter of fact, the African tribe, the Hamites, are in such a deplorable state. You have nothing to worry about them. They're not going to take your power, they're not going to take your neighborhood, and they're not going to take your money. I won't tell you who you need to be worried about because you're not paying me. But here's the thing, I wish you a happy new year. I tell you, the struggle continues, and we're going to be there. And we don't plan to be a thorn in your eye, but we're going to advocate for equitable treatment. We're going to advocate for beautification. You know, yesterday I caught a big roach in the backyard. So that means roaches are finally coming. 23 years, no roaches. Now we got roaches. Big, big tree roaches. Last year we had the invasion of the rats and we crushed them. And we still know that many of the neighbors we have spoke to have rats. And there are no more coyotes. The rabbits are dying off. And the quality of the neighborhood from that standpoint is going down. Then when we look at the environmental impact of what's happening in the world today, as Jewish people, as Christian people, as citizens of the United States of America, we have to begin to ask ourselves, is it sustainable for us to continue to grow grass and to compete to see who has the greenest grass? I remember when we had the greenest grass. I remember when we had the most beautiful flower bed that doubles as a garden and give the greatest curb appeal. Some of you may be angry to see the bananas, but know that the United States became a banana republic on the 6th of January at the behest of your leader, Donald Trump. All you Trump supporters out there who were at the board meeting and who thought you could intimidate this man here. Only you don't know I am Peter the Massacre. Peter the Massacre. I'm not easily cowed or intimidated. And the fear of death threats only make me stronger. Because you know why? I actually stopped fearing death after I saw Mimi die. She died in my hands. And I brought her back to life and I took her to the hospital. And a man named Mark David Crock killed her. He killed her for me. I didn't even have a lawyer. Couldn't afford one. Just like I can't afford one now. But I want each and every one of you to know, those who sent the hate mails, justice is going to come. I want CMA to know that soon you will no longer be the management company at the Fairways of Ridgeview because you can't do basic arithmetic. I want the board to know that eventually you got to give it up because either you're going to die in office or you're going to give up office. And I want everybody in the community to know that we have a diverse community and that a small group of old white men who like to control things, your time is coming to an end. Help is on its way. Help is on its way. So with that said, I want to bless the community. Um, some of you out here, human beings, good Jewish people, Christian people, you love your cats and you love your dogs and your guns more than you love your neighbor. And Christ taught us that we must want for our neighbor what we want for ourselves. And what you want for us is bad. What you want for us is evil. And today I tell you that we're going to ricochet that on you this year. This year. I'm sorry. But you've got to fight. You've got to fight hatred and fire with water and with the pen, because the pen is mightier than the sword. Now, I have not published on YouTube the video documentary of the HOA board meeting. I think it's an interesting watch, and I can add to it to show the world what life really is like. Because, like I said to you, all politics is local, and the most local of politics is the board of your local HOA. And of course, my advisors have told me I don't want to be involved in that because it is something where um, people who like power, people who just want to control, people who have some type of deficiency go in and they control these things and they're very egotistical. And then let me remind you again, the leadership did not make me feel welcome. I mean, you can smile and that's one thing I loved about Donald Trump and why I voted for him and why we supported him, because he lifted the veil of secrecy and allowed everyone to come out and give their true expressions. Okay, people didn't have to hide behind a white robe. Okay, and here you are saying you're exceptional, you're excellent, and junior and senior doesn't know how to read, how to write, or how to program a computer. And these are the skills that are needed in this age of information technology. And you cannot blame the Chinese like Trump has been doing. The capitalists of the United States gave the technology to China. I was there in the 80s when Dao Changping came to Texas. I was there when all of the agreements were being and factories were being dismantled and shipped to China. China did not do that. The leadership, the capitalist companies, GE, Nike, Tesla, GM, they all went because capitalism, see, once Negro slavery ended, capitalism had to figure out a way. So you had mechanization. And then the cost of labor in the developed country kept going up. So they went in bed with the Chinese communists. What they have over there, 1.5 billion people, cheap labor, slave labor. US workers could never compete. But it's our leadership that did that. The Chinese didn't do that. The same way they shifted it to India. The Indians are not our enemies. The Indian government invest in teaching their people and sending them to learn the latest technologies and sending them into medicine and so the biggest export of India is qualified people. So next time you go to your PCP, it might be an Indian, or it might be, in my case, I have a Nigerian, a Hamite as my doctor. So let's stop this hatred thing because, like I say, even though you all don't like us, and even though you all have expressively showed that to us, if I'm walking down the street and I see one of you fall, I will stop to help. If you need CPR, I'll give it to you. If there's an emergency and we have to come with a bucket brigade, I'll come to you. But I want to ask you and to tell your friends and to tell those people to cease and desist immediately from any more hate mails, any more death threats. We do not take kindly to those, and we do not wish to visit upon you those things you think of for us. That's not us. We're not into violence. We're not into espousing hate. You understand? We have nothing but care for humanity and for the people of the world and for our community. And we want to make this community strong. And we want you to understand that your problems were created by the capitalist company leadership, and that the way we overcome that is to find in our souls tolerance for each other and care for each other. And yes, those old men gotta go. You gotta have a generational change at some point. And it can come by elections or it can come by natural progression. I mean, if you're greedy, you just God and nature has a way of correcting everything. Whenever nature is out of balance, whenever things are not in equilibrium, they switch to get into equilibrium. You understand? So, with that said, I know a lot of you hate me. I've done nothing to you, but some of you were born with hate in your hearts. I hope that my message reaches you and touches your soul. I hope that you'll find a way to change. I hope that you'll understand that Donald Trump never stood for you, couldn't do anything for you. Not one of these people in Washington can do shit for either one of us. We have to do for ourselves. We have to continue with individual ruggedism. What was it called? Individual ruggedism? Individual ruggedness. My English isn't that great. Anyway, I bless you. I bless this community, and I bless the United States of America. And I hope that we'll be able to put the union back together. I hope to see you all soon. And we're not going to wait till the next election. We're going to campaign up until then. And I'm sorry if you find that I'm calling you out for who you are and what you are. But it's okay. It's the beginning of a dialogue. And with dialogue, we have peace, harmony, progress, and economic prosperity. There's nothing we want more than economic prosperity. God bless you. I bless you. And may our community continue to be strong, beautiful, and clean. Oh, I was telling you about the water thing. Okay, so we have drought. We're spending 30,000 gallons of water just a month, just watering grass. And I have the prettiest yard, and I never get yard of the month or yard of the year. And my grass used to be so green. I have videos of the grass is greener on the other side. And then we have to play cat and mouse with the city in the drought period. And these are old, archaic ideas and ways of living, and it is unsustainable. The idea that everyone can live in the world on the standard of living of the United States of America and have power on all the time and wasting water and wasting energy, those days are coming to an end. Nature is telling us that. And what nature did, it sent COVID, the African virus. Trump tried to tell you it's the Chinese virus, but it's not. It came from southern Africa, from an animal that was poached, the most highly poached animal in the world, which the Chinese people prize, and that's where it came from. So it's the African virus, and it was sent by the ancestral spirits to shake Europe and the United States of America and to make people think about how they deal with people and treat other people, and particularly the African people. Yes, I believe that. I know that to be a fact. Okay? So, what I'm telling you is that even when we get this vaccine, it's really not over yet because it's going to mutate and it's going to keep mutating until the time that you all, including the HOA and CMA, want to sit down and renegotiate the social contract. Now, my name is Peter Emmanuel. I stand with my opinions and my views and my ideology, and what I share with you here is not really the full extent of what my opinions are. So if you're upset by what you hear, you haven't really heard my real opinion. And I'm not upset by your opinion. You say, well, look, Trump don't scare me. Trump don't make me mad. Your hate groups, your Ku Klux Klan, all you can do is kill me. And while you live, your troubles are many. While you live, your troubles are many. To conquer death, you only have to die. To conquer death, you only have to die. So death threats doesn't bother me because death is inevitable. And the beauty is, I have already wrote my will. There's no worse thing than to die without a will. Okay? So when you're threatening me, make sure you have your will, okay? God bless you, and I'll see you soon as always. And of course, I care deeply about each and every one of you, and I'll see you soon.